Hey friends, Pastor Jonathan here. I'm in the church building this morning, and I'm still buzzing over conversation that I had last night at home through our CTC group. Just incredible to see all that God is doing in and through those groups, to see faith growing through those group members, to see my own faith be cultivated as we sort of process and work through these sermons together and these questions. I'm telling you, it's just been one of the most rewarding things that I've had a privilege to be a part of in my time at North Central. So if you've been sort of on the outskirts of maybe a decision to join a group, I just can't recommend it enough. We've even got somebody in our group whose faith is brand new. And I just can't tell you how rewarding it is to be involved in those conversations and to be able to shape that budding faith towards the good news of the gospel, and to start to see the lights come on as we talk, and to see all that he's discovering is just it is just wild. But one of the questions that we talked about last night in our group is, what might Jesus want us to learn by washing each other's feet as he did ours? And one of the group members actually shared a story. When she was growing up, she attended a church that actually did literal foot washing, which is crazy, right? I can't even imagine what that's like. Certainly that was a cultural thing, right? That was around in Jesus's time. Obviously they were wearing sandals, it's dirty, it's a sandy sort of environment. So foot washing was like something that, needed to be done, but still certainly a real humble act of service. But what she was describing was that even in the humility of it, her congregation was actually finding a way to sort of make it about them and to begin to kind of compare themselves to others and to other churches who weren't doing foot washing. So it became this kind of like religious activity, such a humble act of service becoming something so religious, and so, something to think, much more highly of yourself through. And here's what I'm learning. Even through something so humble, we have this propensity as humans to take anything and just begin to twist it and distort it and make it about us. And that's why, gang, it is so important to keep the good news of the gospel, that primary news of all that Jesus did for us. It's so important to keep that first and foremost. And here's why. Because out of that, when we understand that, when we begin to really process that and it starts to transform our lives, what happens is we begin to obey out of response to all that God has done for us. And I just can't emphasize that enough. There's a major difference in the motivations of doing something even as humble as washing somebody's foot, right? And twisting that kind of thing into like, well, look what I'm doing, right? As opposed to the humble act of service that it actually is. And so clearly we don't wash people's feet anymore. Thank God. But there are so many different ways that we can humble ourselves and serve the people around us. However, we've got to keep the good news of the gospel story primary in order for the burden, as Jesus says, of obedience to be light, right? Because then it flows out of that joyful response. So that's what I'm learning. I hope that's helpful. Like I said, if you're sort of on the outskirts of kind of deciding whether or not you want to join a group, I so encourage it. So fantastic to begin to flesh these ideas out, rub off on one another, and learn from each other. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk soon. Bye.